Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that sounds like it's straight out of a disaster movie, but is a very real, albeit very rare, geological threat. A supervolcano eruption. We're not talking about your average volcano. Imagine a volcano so powerful its eruption could alter the climate of the entire planet. Sounds terrifying, right? Well, let's unpack what that really means. First off, what is a supervolcano? Think of it less as a classic pointy mountain, and more as a massive underground chamber of magma, sometimes hundreds of miles wide, simmering just beneath the Earth's surface. When one of these erupts, it's not a lava flow you have to worry about. It's the sheer volume of ash, rock, and gas that gets blasted miles up into the stratosphere. We're talking about an event hundreds of times more powerful than the biggest volcanic eruptions in recorded history. These are incredibly rare. The last one happened about 26,500 years ago in New Zealand. But the most famous one is probably the Toba eruption in Indonesia, around 74,000 years ago. This event was so massive it's believed to have triggered a volcanic winter, a decade-long global cold snap that dramatically impacted early human populations. Some scientists even theorize it created a genetic bottleneck, nearly wiping us out. Imagine temperatures dropping by 5 to 15 degrees Celsius globally. That is a change far more extreme and sudden than anything we're discussing in modern climate change debates. Another famous example that's often in the news is the Yellowstone caldera in the United States. It's a massive supervolcano that has had 3 major eruptions in the last 2.1 million years. The ground there is literally breathing, rising and falling as the magma chamber below fills and shifts. While scientists assure us an eruption isn't imminent, it serves as a powerful reminder of the forces at play beneath our feet. Now let's get to the core question. Could our modern interconnected world survive an event like Toba? We live in a civilization built on a global supply chain, a delicate network that brings food to our stores, parts to our factories, and energy to our homes. It's a marvel of efficiency, but it's also incredibly fragile. What happens when you throw a planet-altering catastrophe into the mix? Let's imagine a super eruption happens tomorrow. Let's say it's in a remote location, far from major population centers. The immediate blast zone would be apocalyptic, of course, covering thousands of square miles in molten rock and superheated ash. But the real global crisis wouldn't come from the blast. It would come from the ash cloud. This isn't just fluffy soot. Volcanic ash is made of tiny, jagged particles of rock and glass. It's heavy, abrasive, and when it gets wet, it can become as dense as concrete. Within days, this colossal ash cloud would spread across its hemisphere, carried by jet streams. The first and most immediate casualty would be air travel, all of it. Globally, jet engines and volcanic ash are a fatal combination. The ash melts inside the hot engines, then resolidifies on the turbine blades, causing the engines to flame out and fail. No planes in the sky means no rapid transport of people, medicine, or critical electronic components. The world would suddenly feel a lot bigger. Next, the power grid. As the ash falls, it would coat power lines and electrical substations. If it's dry, it can cause short circuits. If it gets wet, the weight of it could physically pull down power lines and towers, leading to widespread long-term blackouts. Imagine entire continents without electricity. No lights, no refrigeration, no internet, no communications. Our digital world would simply blink out. Then comes the real nightmare. Food. The ash cloud would block out the sun, triggering what's known as a volcanic winter. Global temperatures would plummet. This sudden drop would cause catastrophic crop failures worldwide. Fields that were just about to be harvested would be buried under a layer of toxic ash, and the lack of sunlight and plunging temperatures would make it impossible to grow new crops for years. Think about your local grocery store. Most stores only carry about 3 days' worth of food. What happens when the trucks stop coming? Our global food system is based on a just-in-time delivery model. We grow food in one hemisphere and ship it to another. But with ports potentially clogged, shipping lanes disrupted, and no fuel for trucks because refineries have shut down, that entire system collapses. Within a week, grocery store shelves would be bare. panic would set in. The systems we rely on for order, governments, emergency services, would be stretched to their breaking point, dealing with a cascade of failures. Without power, clean water becomes a problem. Pumping stations fail. Without transportation, getting aid to people becomes nearly impossible. And the volcanic winter would just be getting started. For the next 5 to 10 years, the planet would be colder and darker. The lack of sunlight would devastate marine ecosystems, killing off plankton, which is the foundation of the ocean's food web. This would lead to a massive die-off of fish, another critical food source for millions. The climate effects would be complex. While the initial effect is cooling, the sheer amount of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide released could eventually lead to a warming effect after the ash settles. We'd be dealing with unprecedented climate whiplash on a planet already struggling to feed its population. So how would modern civilization fare? It's a grim picture. We are far more dependent on interconnected, complex systems than our ancestors who survived Toba. They were small mobile groups of hunter-gatherers. If the climate changed, they could move. We are a sedentary civilization of 8 billion people, locked into cities and agricultural zones that are completely dependent on a stable climate and a functioning global network. Our technological sophistication, our greatest strength, becomes our greatest vulnerability. A super eruption doesn't just knock us back to the 19th century, it knocks us back to a pre-industrial world. But with 8 billion hungry people who have forgotten the basic skills for survival, is there any hope? Well, a full-scale Toba-like event would be the ultimate test for humanity. Survival would depend on a few key factors. First, location. Being in the hemisphere opposite the eruption would buy you precious time. Second, preparation. Communities that have stored food, water, and have sources of local, off-grid power would have a fighting chance. Think about self-sufficient communities or even countries that have prioritized food security and have massive strategic reserves. In the long term, humanity's ingenuity would be our only way out. We would need to develop new forms of agriculture that could work in low-light, cold conditions, perhaps massive indoor, hydroponic farms powered by geothermal or nuclear energy. We'd have to completely re-engineer our society around local production and resilience, rather than global efficiency. The threat of a supervolcano is a humbling reminder of our place in the natural world. We've built this incredible, complex civilization, but it's all built on the assumption of a stable planet. Events like these force us to confront the fragility of that assumption. It's not about living in fear, but about fostering a deeper respect for the planet and thinking critically about building a more resilient future. Maybe, just maybe, preparing for a threat this massive could teach us how to better handle the smaller, more immediate crises we face every day. What do you think? Could we pull through? Or would it be game over for modern society? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's a fascinating, if sobering, thought experiment. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this topic interesting, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the forces that shape our world. Stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.